That's former England forward Leanne Sanderson speaking with Leon McKenzie and Steve Harmison. You can hear that full interview in After the Lights Go Out from 8 o'clock tomorrow night on talkSPORT. Ahead of tonight's Women's Euros opener for the Lionesses, though, against France, which we will have live from 8 o'clock. talkSPORT reporter Uma Gurav is out in Zurich getting a sense of atmosphere before the game.
Can you tell me what you think is going to happen? What can we expect from the Lionesses tonight?
I think they're going to score a lot, like 3 times. Yeah.
Is that your score prediction then?
Yeah, I think it can be 3-1.
3-1. Oh, who's going to score for England?
Tooney, Russo and... Russo again.
And can you tell me, what's your message to the Lionesses and to Serena ahead of tonight? What would you want them to know from you?
Score goals and win.
Can you tell me what you think is going to happen? What can we expect from the Lionesses tonight?
I think they're going to score a lot, like 3 times. Yeah.
Is that your score prediction then?
Yeah, I think it can be 3-1.
3-1. Oh, who's going to score for England?
Tooney, Russo and... Russo again.
And can you tell me, what's your message to the Lionesses and to Serena ahead of tonight? What would you want them to know from you?
Score goals and win.
How are you feeling about the game tonight?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a long travel day to get here so far. Not too bad, but yeah, excited to finally be here and looking forward to the game this evening.
Can you tell me what players I should watch out for tonight in the France game?
I think it'll be all about the impact players. I wonder if Lauren James coming off the bench, she's obviously missed out quite a lot of the tournament so far, or the season so far, should I say. So I think she'll want to come on and make an impact.
And can you give me a score prediction?
I'm going to be optimistic and say 2-1. I do think France will be a difficult challenge. They've got lots of pace, but fingers crossed we can get ahead. And hopefully then we can defend and keep the score.
We had to get that 3-1 prediction twice, I think, there from me, the England fan. We're going to catch up with Uma a bit later on out in Switzerland. And we'll also be over with Tash Dowie, who's on commentary duty for talkSPORT tonight, and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk in the next 10 minutes ahead of tonight's game. Rory, we've been chatting a bit about Arsenal and their transfer business. Noni Madueke from your Chelsea's been linked with Arsenal. It's an interesting situation as well with Ethan Nwaneri. We're being told that contract negotiations are maybe stalling a bit slightly. They're trying to get through
with
a few buffers. Yeah, which I find quite an interesting situation when you compare it to the Cole Palmer situation at Man City. The way that Cole Palmer left Man City, despite being this emerging talent, because he was like, no, do you know what? I want to go and be the main man somewhere else.
But there is a difference.
Is Nwaneri at the level that Palmer was when he made that move to Chelsea?
Nwaneri's at a higher level. Nwaneri has done more for the first team. Look, Cole Palmer had his moments in the first team. Of course he did. Like he scored for Man City at Wembley, didn't he, in a Charity Shield? He actually scored a goal to win Man City the Super Cup, if I remember rightly. So he certainly had his moments. But Nwaneri had a great season. Nwaneri featured heavily for Arsenal in the season just gone. Like there is no jeopardy around whether Nwaneri is capable of doing it for Arsenal. There's no jeopardy around whether Arsenal are a better outfit having Nwaneri around them.
Yeah.
There was an argument that you could have made that would have suggested that Manchester City could allow Cole Palmer to leave. Obviously, history has been very unkind to that prediction, but you could have legitimately said, as a Man City fan, we don't need Cole Palmer. You know, Riyad Mahrez has just gone. We have lots of creative players in the team. Kevin De Bruyne is the most creative player in the league. He is still playing for us. We can allow Cole Palmer to leave for £40 million and it won't reflect badly on us. Obviously, it looks terrible now, but you could have argued that it was a rational decision. If Arsenal allow Ethan Nwaneri to leave, it's just a terrible decision.
But what do you do with Nwaneri, though? Because another player they've been linked with is, I don't know, Eberechi Eze, for example. And they've been linked with other players that can play in that kind of number 10 role. So when you look at it, you'd have Odegaard in front of you in that kind of position. You'd have then Eze in front of you. You'd probably maybe even have Havertz in front of you. All right, you could argue Nwaneri could be more effective. And then on the right, you've got Bukayo Saka. You know, he might look at it, even though he's only 18, and go, how am I going to get into this team?
I don't think that's true, though.
Yeah, but he might look at, I don't know, the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, who was at a similar level to Bukayo Saka coming through. Yes, he had his injury issues, but also eventually left Arsenal and ended up at Fulham because he wasn't going to get the game time.
If I was Ethan Nwaneri, everything that I've seen from him, the only immovable object in that Arsenal team is Bukayo Saka. So he can't eye up Saka's place in the team. That's non-negotiable. But I think that he should be looking at Martin Odegaard and thinking, if Odegaard has a season similar to the one that he had last year, Odegaard went to pot And I think Arsenal fans are very generous to Martin Odegaard. I know he's very good for them before, but when they needed him to shine, when they needed their captain to take games by the scruff of the neck and drag them to victories maybe that they didn't deserve, but he bottled it.
Does Nwaneri start ahead of the captain though?
Well, this is it. If Ethan Nwaneri believes in his own talent, and I think that he can do this, he should see that place in the team as something that he can prize away from Martin Odegaard.
Do you think he should fight for his place at Arsenal rather than going somewhere else, starting every week and being the main man?
What's right for... There's two different conversations here. What's right for the player and what's right for the club? The club cannot allow Ethan Nwaneri to leave. The club cannot develop Ethan Nwaneri to this level, nurture him, make sure that the land is as fertile as possible to create this wonderful footballer who is now on the periphery of both brilliance in the Premier League and brilliance at international level, and then allow him to go and actually develop somewhere else.
It's also been reported that Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager, has set a deadline of July the 19th when Arsenal go off on their pre-season tour of Asia to have a deal for Viktor Gyökeres or a striker wrapped up. But
it's just an arbitrary deadline, though, isn't it?
Well, the longer it goes on as well.
Mate, the deadline was this time last year. Like, there is no... The deadline...
Even before that.
Yeah, the deadline was about 16 months ago when they got launched out of the Champions League by Bayern Munich because they didn't have a striker. And the conversation 16 months ago was that they got beat because they didn't have a striker. They would have beaten Bayern Munich over the two legs if they had a striker. They didn't, and that was the day that we started saying it's a striker or bust for Arsenal. We're 16 months down the line. This is an arbitrary deadline. The deadline passed. So no, but do you know what I just want to go back to? I feel like you, even in the phrasing of this conversation, have been very, very kind to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard's place in that team is as much up for debate as basically anyone else's. Martin Odegaard went to pot when Arsenal needed him most. It was a choke. It was a sporting choke when it was desperate for somebody at Arsenal to take the game by the scruff of the neck and be the talisman, be the Roy Keane in Turin, be the Didier Drogba in Munich. Martin Odegaard had those opportunities and he shrunk. So I don't think that Ethan Nwaneri should be looking at Martin Odegaard and thinking that place in the team is completely off limits.
Okay, interesting stuff. We'll chat a bit more about that race for Gyökeres and potentially Sesko in just a moment, because I just felt that Arsenal would try and get those deals wrapped up a bit earlier in this window, especially off the back of what Liverpool have done and what Manchester City have done.
Terrible.
It's a disaster of a window if they don't get a number 9. It is. It really, really is. Anyway, let's head off to Wimbledon and get the latest there with Lisa O'Sullivan.
Over on court number 1, the teen Russian sensation and 7th seed Mira Andreeva has taken the first set 6-1 against Hailey Baptiste, who has taken a little while to settle here. The American is a talent. She's one of the big hitters in the women's game, and she plays a lot of variety of shots as well. But Andreeva's made the better start. She leads 6 games to 1, 1-love in the second. Baptiste serving at the moment. And here on centre court, we've got Yannick Sinner, the number 1 seed. He's been rattling through this draw. He's taking on Martinez of Spain. We're in the first game. Sinner is 40-love up.
Thank you very much, Lisa. We'll check back in with the cricket in just a moment. They've just come back out from lunch. India extending their lead quite significantly now against England. They're 177 for 3. So we'll check back in with Sam Millard at Edgbaston in just a moment here on talkSPORT.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.